The Olympic lifts are some of the most highly technical lifts that you can do. But if you're a beginner and don't have access to a coach, it can be tough to know where to start. That's why in this video, I'll be breaking down 3 lifts from my free weightlifting Discord, where we provide form checks, answer competition advice, and have a supportive community of lifters to help keep you motivated while training for the coolest sport in the world. And if you want to join the Discord, you can find the link down in the description below. All right, the first lift that we're going to take a look at here is Wes snatching 135 in one of his high school weightlifting meets here in Florida. Let's go and take a look. Okay, not bad. Good lifting competition, so pretty solid. But there's some things that we can clean up here, especially in the start position. All right, so in the start position, it looks like your stance is just too wide. Too wide with the toes pointing straight forward. I would recommend bring those feet in a little bit more so that we don't have this angle here with the knee inside of the foot. All right, it's just not as strong of a position as we could be if we had a slightly narrower stance and the knees kind of tracking out over the toes. And that would just be a much more solid start position. And the reason that I want to focus on this first is any changes that we make to the start position is going to have changes later on down the lift. So I don't want to focus on anything else in this lift outside of maybe how we receive the bar, but that also comes down to the start position as well. So with the feet a little bit narrower, I would probably go maybe a foot's width, right, of your foot, not 12 inches narrower on either side. Turn the toes out slightly, point those knees out in that direction, and you probably have a much stronger pull off the ground. And then also we can kind of see here in this catch position, he's not moving his feet at all, right? So it means he's not getting quite as much drive up as he possibly could, which is limiting the amount of weight that he could snatch. And then along with that, because of this, he's just not quite able to get into a deep overhead squat as deep as he could if he was potentially in a different squat catch position, right? So the two things here again are narrow that stance up in the start and then move those feet out wider in the catch. I'll show you a really good example of that from somebody who is probably one of the best weightlifters in the world, Ilya Ilin, with a 160 kilo snatch. So let's see what we got. Pretty effortless, I would say. Start position wise, we can kind of take a look exactly what he's got going on. He's got a narrower stance, toes turned out to the sides, knees tracking in line with the direction that the toes are pointing, and he's able to use a lot more legs to get that bar moving. And then along with that, he moves his feet out to his ideal squat catch position, which allows him to sit more comfortably into a deep squat. So those are the two things really that if you focus on will help improve the amount of weight that you can move and also make it look a little bit better as well. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this jerk from Brojo Hobo. So start position, definitely looks like our feet are too narrow in the start position. We're just not going to be able to get that much drive, and more than likely as you dip towards the bottom of your dip, you're going to find that your balance shifts forward as well, especially with heavier weights. So I would widen that stance up to about shoulder width with the toes pointing out a little bit. Okay, and if you can get some weightlifting shoes, I would recommend it. It helps a lot for the Olympic lifts. Now, rack position looks pretty solid. He's got elbows pretty high, shoulders pushed forward, which is what creates the shelf for the bar. Now, the elbow height thing, that differs from person to person. We don't necessarily need to have the elbows super high like we do for a clean or a front squat. We just need to have them in front of the bar enough where the shelf is actually created by pushing the shoulders forward, letting that bar have a place to sit on rather than supporting it with our arms. So it's not really elbow height, it's shoulder position mostly that dictates a good jerk rack position. Okay, now let's go and take a look at this jerk. Okay, so main thing that you'll see here is this split stance is just way too narrow, way too close. Looks like you didn't really move the feet quite enough at all. I would probably say that we need to go about twice this length, maybe 3 times as long, right? The goal of this split position is to allow us to get lower and to not have to move the bar as high. The problem is a lot of beginners think about the jerk as using your arms to push the bar up. That's not really what the jerk is about. The goal for the jerk is to get the bar as high as you can with your legs, and for most people with heavy enough weight, that's going to be about eye level, maybe forehead level, and then use your arms to move you down into the lowest split position possible. It's not about pressing the bar with your arms, and with this, typically people who have a narrow split position are really focusing too much on pushing the bar up rather than moving down into a lower split. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at somebody who's got a great split and who demonstrates the length of the split that we need and how fast we need to get under the bar, and that is Hyson Palaku with a 211 kilo clean and jerk. Now, this is probably one of my favorite lifts of all time for many reasons, and we're going to watch the clean as well because I think it's just such a good demonstration of grit. This guy could barely deadlift it. I mean, he is going to get this bar to maybe belly button height, and then he just so aggressively pulls himself under the bar. Incredible. All right, now let's take a look at the jerk so we can see exactly what I mean. First of all, in our split position, or in our dip, in rack position, his feet wider, they're about shoulder width with the toes turned out, so he's going to get the most amount of leg drive without losing his balance forward. Split position here, significantly longer than what we were working with from Brojo, right? So we need to go long split. That's going to allow us to get low and have a vertical front shin, a bent back knee, and the back heel off the ground, right? This is exactly what we're looking for here, okay? So again, this is not about pushing the bar up. It's about moving yourself lower so that we have to use as little effort as possible to get the bar high. And our last lift here is going to be this 230-pound clean attempt from Sal. Let's go and take a look. So, approaches the bar correctly. Got some good support, which is key. But this, I'm not a huge fan of, rolling the bar away from you in the start position. Some heavier weight class lifters can do that, but that's because they're bigger and they need to have that room, right? For smaller weight class, I really don't like it. I like to keep that bar as close, not move it at all from where it's starting on the ground. Approach the bar, right? Feet under bar. Approach the bar, feet under bar, and then don't move this bar around. Get your hands set and then start the lift. And the reason for that is when you roll the bar forward and then back into you, you could be having a slightly different start position for every clean that you do. And especially as a beginner, we want to be consistent first because then we can make technique changes. But if we're not consistently starting the same way, all the technique changes that we make are relative to the last lift that you just did, rather than being consistently incorrect with our technique. Now, this isn't a huge deal, but this is something that I would like to see fixed here. The next thing is going to be just getting a little bit more drive out of our extension here. It just looks like at the top we're kind of keeping it a little too short. He's got some good extension, but he needs a little bit more. So at the top we should be leaning back a little bit more than this with the legs more locked, right? That means that we're getting the most out of our quads and leg drive, and then we rip ourselves under that bar, which he's doing a great job of. Now, one thing that you can kind of see is his feet have planted before his elbows have gotten all the way around. I like to cue people to get those elbows around the moment that your feet hit the floor rather than waiting until the last second. And usually that's just going to lead to a slower catch or turnover, and you're not going to be as strong in that bottom of the squat, which is exactly what happened, and that's part of the reason that he missed this clean. Now, I also messaged him because I had a suspicion. I asked him what his best front squat was, and he said that his best front squat was 235 pounds, and this is 230 pounds. Now, I'm not very good at math here, but I do know that if that front squat was 265 pounds, 275 pounds, this clean would be a lot easier to stand up from. It's a lot easier to move heavier weights if your strength lifts are appropriately stronger than your Olympic lifts. At the end of the day, the Olympic lifts are still a strength sport. It's not all about technique. Even though the series is on technique, we still need to have strength to work with, right? So if that's something that you struggle with, then I'm going to link my 12-week squat program in the description below. You can get that and add about 20 to 30 pounds onto your squat in 12 weeks, and your Olympic lifts will see an improvement as well. Let's go ahead and take a look at somebody who does the approach to the bar that I'm looking for a lot better. And that is Omyeon Chol. He's going here for a triple bodyweight clean and jerk, which is insane to think about. But the thing that I most like is his setup, right? That's what we're looking at for yours, Sal, right? So in this, he approaches the bar, right? Feet under bar. Bar does not move at all. He puts his hands on the bar. He doesn't roll it around. It stays in the same spot. And that's going to allow him to know exactly where he's at and have a consistent starting point. And so that when all of the training that he's done leading up to this point is going to actually carry over to the competition moment, right? Now, we can go ahead and take a look at this because this is just an incredible lift. Triple body weight. Most people will never squat that. Most people will never deadlift that, much less clean and jerk. Truly incredible. Wow. What a great lift. And I guarantee you, this man squats a little bit more than 5 pounds over this clean and jerk that he's going for.
That's everything for this video, but if you want your lifts reviewed, then make sure to join the Discord and post your videos in the Form Checks channel. And if you're completely new to weightlifting and don't know where to start, then I recommend checking out my free beginner guide and 6-week program linked in the description below. We'll catch you guys in the next one.